out,
Oh.
it usually comes out as single. Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on March. No, it's not March. It's April. April 7th, 2021. I'm here with my good friend, Paul. Paul, I hate to say it.
It's okay.
Paul
DeBettignies.
DeBetti. I know how to say it. DeBettings. But there's a lot of controversy lately, Paul, about names. I'm not supposed to tell you that you should call yourself DeBettings. He's got an aristocratic French name, but in American, it reads as DeBettignies, okay? But it's DeBettings.
That's what we go with. I mean, there are like four different versions the family uses.
There are. Right? Well, there's a lot of DeBettings.
If you have my name in the United States, we are related.
Okay, and it's Minnesota Headhunter. If you want to find this guy, MN Headhunter, okay? Forget about his last name. He used to been on the show a few times, but not for quite a while. I've got
so long.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, he sent me 5 minutes before we started
a bunch of things. 35 minutes.
5 minutes before, okay,
35.
10 minutes. 5 minutes before we started arguing, okay? And about the things he wants to talk about. None of it was what I planned to talk about, but I'll give it a shot, okay? He says companies had a year. Oh, he's an IT recruiter, a third-party agency. He's a headhunter. Anything else you want to say about yourself?
So my business has changed a little bit since you and I last spoke. Essentially, the last few years, last 5 or 6, it's mostly been working internally with companies to help build their tech teams, tech product, digital data design.
Okay, hold on.
Frequently, I use the phrase "we're hiring," not ABC is hiring, or I have a client that. I'm normally working internally.
So you're working on contract inside companies?
You can phrase it that way, yeah.
Okay, as a recruiter or as a consultant to set up their recruiting process?
It's a bit of both. Source, recruit, hire, help with the process and strategy, be an advocate for them in the technology community.
Okay, and so you also work with Fortune 500 clients, but my guess is that you're more startup oriented. Am I right or wrong about that?
You're right, more fun.
Okay, but here, in spite of it, you say, companies had a year to fix recruiting and they didn't do a damn thing. I like the anger, but what does fix recruiting mean? It's meaningless to me. Okay.
If you go back to January 6th of 2020, pre-COVID-19.
Yeah.
We were all starting that year, right? People were in demand, salaries were increasing, employer brands, companies were having a hard time recruiting because the economy was good. It was going to be okay for 2020, pre-COVID. And then the crap hits the fan and we have a shutdown. And I always do things by the first Monday of a year. So flash forward now to January 4th.
You're losing me. I asked you a clear question.
Hey,
what does fix recruiting mean? What was broken? What was broken? I always hear it.
Everything. Think about it. Okay, let's try it this way, Animal. What was working?
Hold on. You just said everything. Let's go one by one, okay?
Most career pages suck. Most job descriptions blow. Most hiring processes broken. They weren't even talking about retention.
Onboarding. Okay, you're all over the place. Hi, Ernie.
Hello.
Ernie, meet Paul, okay?
Hey, Paul.
Paul and I have known each other now probably over 15 years at least, okay?
We just haven't yelled at each other in a while.
Not for a while, no. In fact, the last time he was on, we were talking about, he got a nice suit finally, and I was advising him about how he should get married because he was putting up pictures of himself with pretty girls, okay?
Still not married.
We're not going to talk about that this time. We're going to talk about recruiting, okay? And he just said that the hiring process is broken. And so let's take that. I can nail him down a bit on, but I see he's going to be all over. Okay, hiring process. It starts with the intake session. What's wrong with the intake session? Is there anything wrong, first of all?
I think as soon as take any job description, like if I'm on a client, maybe they're posted something new or I'm starting new, I'll walk in with a job description to the hiring manager and say, okay, let's walk through this. Then I'll flip the page over and I'll say, now, what do you really want? And they'll give me a lot of content. And then I'll flip it back over and say, why is it this page and this page the same thing? And they go, well, because crap, we wrote this thing 16 months ago. We didn't update it. We didn't think about branding and we didn't think about why should someone come work for us, right? Because we tend to write job descriptions of a 17 bullet point of a robot we want to hire. We don't say to people who, particularly those who are in demand, here's why you should leave your place and come work for us. It is a dating analogy, but we'll skip that because COVID-19 sucked for dating. But the idea is that we don't woo people. We don't say, here's why
can
you
you
should
be
come
a
work
little
for
more
us.
specific? Okay, so you're saying what I want to agree with them. These guys are idiots, okay? The hiring manager, you go in to meet him, and he's just telling you I'm stupid, okay? I'm stupid, Paul, because you turn over what he put down or she, you turn it over and say, I understand this is garbage, and I want the real goods. So give me an example of what does it mean? Why they should work for me?
Yeah.
How long do you have to struggle with these people to get that out of them?
Well, part of it is, do they trust you? So the time period shouldn't take too long.
Wait a second. Are you a brand in Minnesota already? As I said, I've known you at least 15 years, and you've been the Minnesota headhunter, and you go to all kinds of meetups and speak everywhere.
I work hard. So here's the thing. The easiest way to be able to figure out if the job description is accurate or not is to walk over to the people that role's going to end up working with and ask them about the role. Ask them why do they like working here. Ask them why they came to work here. And that content's never in the job description. So you bring that back to the hiring manager and you say, hey, shouldn't it read more, speak more, hear more like your team does? And they go, yeah, can we start working on that now?
Hold on a second. Do they give you access to the other people on the team?
Yeah.
Because you're on contract inside the company? Could a third party agency recruiter say, hey, I know you're stupid, Mr. Hiring Manager. I want to talk to the people on your team, okay? I want to get the real goods. Could I do that?
It takes that will take time to build trust. So
okay.
It'll take a lot of time to get to the point where you can call a guy stupid and still retain that business. But hey, man,
hold on.
I support you in that venture.
Michael G. Cox, he told us, you're late, okay? That's okay. You're not getting paid. He told us already, the first thing he does is go in there with the job order they gave him, and he turns it upside down. Like, this is trash. I mean, what could be more of an insult than, saying you're stupid? That's nothing after you say,
no.
So might as well wrap it up and throw it out.
Hold on.
First of all,
you're assuming that
they know that the job posting is stupid. So it's not even a job posting, or what it should be, a job advertising.
Okay, Paul, before we get going, hold on. I said that I just acknowledged that Michael G. Cox isn't getting paid, but Alan, if you need some money for a haircut, I'm willing to I'm willing to pay for it, because I don't know who did what you've got there now, your wife or one of your kids, okay?
Man.
Okay, Paul, over to you.
Get one of these, man, because look at this mess right here.
You got hair. I like it. Paul, go ahead. What were you going to say?
The idea is that if you're trying to help them, you're trying to help them grow their team, and you want to promote them, they'll want to work with you. Most hiring managers don't like writing job descriptions either, really, right? They've maybe gone to Stack Overflow, or they've gone to Indeed or wherever. They've borrowed something from the Bay Area. They're trying to make it work for themselves. So there already is the realization that they know they're not a writer. They know they're not a content person. They know they're not a brander. And if you come from that perspective, it's like, I want to promote. If you're working as a corporate recruiter, I want us to look good out there. Hiring managers are more receptive to that.
Okay,
to say, like,
so we're way general now. We're getting somewhere, but we're general. Give me an example of what you've actually put into your ad or whatever it is that actually tells somebody, this is why you should want to leave your job and work here.
I've gone to the developers and said, hey, why did you come here? And I literally just write it down. And I'll repurpose, say, 15 quotes, put it into 6 bullet points.
I'm begging you for an example of what you wrote down, okay?
So it's simple. It's actually simple stuff. So I asked the 3 questions. Why did you come here? Why do you stay? And why do you keep saying no to other recruiters who are trying to recruit you? And they'll say, like, I really enjoy the team's smart. We get along great. It's different when it's coming from a UX designer, a data scientist, than it is if it's coming from a recruiter or a hiring manager, right?
I want to hear those 3 questions again. And I want everybody's opinion. What is it?
Why did you come here?
Yeah.
Why do you stay?
Yep.
Why do you not answer other recruiters' calls to get you to leave?
I love it. Anybody else got a comment?
No, I agree. I agree with him. I agree with him. I think he has he's hit it right on point, primarily because the job description is meant for compensation and your salary rank and all that other stuff. Secondly, you can always, when you tell them that the job description is bad, and it's the candidates always want to see the job description, and I always tell them that's not what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I said, look at the job description. Ask yourself, you were with a company for 10 years, right? They did your evaluation every year, right? Did anyone ever bring out your job description and tell you, hey, let's go over it and see what you're doing? And then, or have you ever said, hey, I'm not going to do that because it's not within my job description? No, nobody cares about it. The biggest thing they care about is there a career opportunity for me? Who am I going to work with? Because that hiring manager is the company to me. I don't care if it's $1 billion people. And if I can get that match, then that's where you go.
So you're saying, you're saying that you have to sell the hiring manager. Let's come back to that one. Alan, were you talking and no, your tech is no good?
Yeah. All I want to know is does Paul charge?
Lower! Don't kill me.
Better.
No.
Well, I don't.
Animal, you've been doing this for how many years and you still have microphone
we just
issues?
moved on to Zoom, okay?
I'm on a
Give us
hard line.
20 years before we figure this out. Settle down with your expectations.
Okay, go ahead, Alan. Go ahead.
So I'll talk softer for your little ears, Animal. So does Paul charge money to ask these questions and get paid for it? Because I've been asking these questions for over a decade.
Yeah.
Did you get paid?
So
I'm an internal. I get paid, but I mean, but those are great questions, and you.
Yeah,
and that's how
why are you belittling Paul? I don't get it. You don't.
I'm joking with him. I mean no disrespect. I think you should delete this recording and not put it out because these are some of the best freaking things around. Because and if you have to do it constantly, and you have to do it. It doesn't matter what company it's at. If the company has different locations, different divisions, different functions, you have to ask people in every one of those to get the accurate answer.
I have to delete this recording because of your haircut and your sound, okay? That's why.
Yo, baby, don't be hating and be jealous here, okay? I mean, this is just studly stuff, all right?
Okay.
This is a hippie haircut compared to Paul.
Yeah, let's go back to Paul,
And
okay?
Ernie.
And Michael G. Cox, did you want to comment on those 3 questions?
No, man, those are solid. It's really what is he getting out of the questions is what I'd like to hear.
What do you mean?
So a lot of times you'll just hear them say, there's a client here in town. This was 2019. The tech team, roughly 32 people. I was able to talk with 27 of them. And we're not talking about long conversations, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It dawned on me that every one of them, 27 out of 27 said the reason why they came there was because of the hiring manager. She's fantastic. She's like, everything about her was awesome. So I said, why do the job descriptions not read like her versus the marketing stuff that was written, 3 years ago? And there was a bit of this because we hadn't thought about it, or we hadn't had time, or you've got recruiter turnover, right? Or it's a startup that's gone from 50 to 200.
So you're with Ernie, okay? You're with Ernie. What Ernie said, I can't believe it. You're backing him up 100%. So
100%. Everybody backs me up.
I got to tell you, I've never gone around recruiting people and saying, you know why you got to come into this company? Because you're going to love this hiring manager.
Yes.
Wait a second. One of the reasons is they might join the company and the hiring manager leaves a week later. That's happened. It's happened.
It does.
To me, okay.
But the other thing you need to consider is this takes the opportunity and the candidate experience to the next level. Because yes, the manager can leave, but if you have multiple touch points on why these people came here, you're probably going to have 4 to 5 reasons, give or take. I did it at a commercial real estate brokerage, and when I asked the executives, their answers were ridiculous. When I asked the 1 year, the 5 year, the 15-year guys those questions, and they told me, you discover things that are invaluable as attractors to candidates that maybe the candidate's not even aware of, but when you mention it, it's like, oh my God, you guys do that, or you have that? So I got experienced commission-only brokers to take less commission because we had gotten the answers to these questions, and they succeeded more because of it.
You know, and Michael, I got to tell you, I think as we get further out of COVID, whatever the new normal is, whether phrases or terms people are using, right? We're seeing it here in Minneapolis. I'm feeling it in the Midwest, and I'm seeing it on the coast. People are really starting to think about who they're working with, why they're working with, where they're working, how that is, that they didn't think about pre-COVID, because now we've had this pause or this weird chaotic mess we've been in for a year. And a lot of people are just frankly self-evaluating where they are.
Okay, hold on a second. Am I right that Michael G. Cox 10 minutes ago said he wanted to hear some of the answers you actually got from these questions, and you didn't give him one?
Oh,
I know Alan butt in, okay?
We need the answers too. I'll give them to Michael as well.
Okay, I want to hear first from Paul.
Paul.
I'm going to do it off the top of my head. I'd have to log out or.
Okay, let's. Alan will remember. Give us an example.
So technically, at the commercial real estate brokers, technically we have the best technology tools around. We have the training. We have the best training in the world in the industry. And if you're not making $1 million, if you don't have a net worth of $1 million in 3 years, and you don't own $3 million in real estate in 5 years, there's something wrong. The teams are very good. The collaboration is wonderful. You can collaborate as much as you want. You can have private clients as much as you want, and they will train you and support you to help you make your numbers. Because if you're
you have these proverbial stories to tell them, like, here, let me tell you what happened to Mary when she joined in 1996. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. But has anybody ever done this? You want to know why you should join this company? Because Shirley Evans is the manager, and this is why she's so great. Everybody loves her for reason 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has anyone ever done that? I never have. You have, Paul. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Let me also say something too. One of the things you could do, our whole thing is relationship building. So I'm an external recruiter and a contingency recruiter. I talk to the talent acquisition person. One of the things I ask them is, what's going on? What do you need? And I don't want to hear the job description. I want to know, what are the hard skills that you need? And they'll say, well, they're doing this and I have this. I know one thing from my experience is that talent people within get thrown under the bus all the time, because You're not bringing me people, but they're not communicating back. The hiring manager doesn't communicate back as to what they want. So to build your relationship with somebody, a talent, I send them a list of questions. I said, take these questions, there's 20 of them, and give them to the hiring manager. That hiring manager should answer them and give them back to you. Therefore, you and I will know what that hiring manager needs.
How often you get them answered? 20 questions is a lot.
No.
It's like, tell me the salary range, tell me your target salary, tell me 3 things that you should that you expect from the 6 hardcore skills. Tell me why they should come work for you, and tell me why they should come work for the company. Among other things, is there remote?
I like that. Hold on. You see what he said? Tell me why they should work for you and the company separate. That's 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
And so you do that, but you see what you're doing is you're giving now, you're training the internal recruiter to ask the right questions. You then become their favorite external recruiter. Also, in addition to that, you know what you're looking for and you're not wasting your time. Your real goal with that is to be able to tell the internal recruiter, if I have somebody that I sent to you, you got to tell me straight up whether or not you already have them or not, but let's talk.
Okay, hold on. Wait a sec. If they don't answer those 20 questions in a decent way, are you going to fire that client? I bet you don't.
I do sometimes. Well, let's put it this way. I'll say it's not important to them. There's going to be a meeting. They're going to throw you under the bus because they're going to say at this meeting, well, I didn't get any candidates from Paul. And at that moment in this meeting with 20 people, Paul's got to decide, do I come back at him right here in front of everybody, or do I try to build that team spirit? I had a COO fill that out in half an hour. I told that to the talent acquisition manager. The talent acquisition manager said, please tell your people under you, the production manager, the plant manager, everybody else, that their COO filled it out in half an hour. Okay. And why can't they take
You got to give Paul a chance. He's the guest, okay?
First of all, when was the last time you had this many guests agree on something. This is fantastic.
I'm not agreeing. I don't agree with anything
Okay,
that
You're
he
not
said.
a guest. You're not a guest.
You're not a guest.
They're not guests either. They're callers. They call in every week. Okay, Paul. Okay, so it's one other guy who does contract work who used to be a regular on the show. He wrote, I think that he says to the hiring manager, I only want two things from you. One, time in your schedule, and two, a guarantee you're going to give me feedback on the interviews. That doesn't sound like enough. It sounds like these guys need total coaching.
Well, so first of all, so like all of the companies or clients that we've ever worked with, the four of us, since you're not a guest, right? All clients, hiring managers are different, right? So you can't paint one brush on all these folks. But generally speaking, most hiring managers, right, they'll say that they didn't get back to you because they're tired, they're busy, they're stressed out, and they're helping their team. Well, we're chasing our tail, right? Well, if you had hired more people, if you had interviewed our candidates, you would have more people, you would be doing less work, and you'd be less.
Gergely Oros, who was on the show. I remember how to say his name.
That's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. He said, okay, he was an engineering manager with Uber. And he said, engineering managers don't know anything about hiring. Okay. They don't know how to ask good questions, nothing. So here you're saying, first of all, I turn over what they give me because it's garbage. And then you're saying, oh, they're all different. Some of them know it.
No. Everybody's different. This is people. And your comment is a bit overgeneralization. But as a generalization, I will say 80% of managers that are not TA are poor interviewers, are poor resume readers, are poor hiring people. Wait a second. So Ernie's 20 questions, the simple fact that he got it back tells me something. It's worth it. On your explanation that the person only wants two things, you know what that is? That's a wedge into the door. And as soon as he gets on that guy's calendar and he gets the feedback, that hiring manager, Paul said, I gave Paul the feedback. Oh, he brought me better people. I kept talking with him. Oh, you know what? By the way, now we're going to go to lunch. Oh, now he asked me for another thing. It's a snowball effect.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Okay. Greenhouse. What's it called? Not greenhouse. No, the website where everybody says how their companies are. Glassdoor. Yeah. Paul said it's going to explode with bad comments over this period. For some reason, people have realized all of a sudden how crappy their companies are and how terrible their managers are, and they're going to start slamming them en masse.
So here's my theory. A lot of people, right? LinkedIn came out there with their survey 6 or 7 weeks ago that said people were essentially sheltering in place for their job. There's so many surveys. There's so much anecdotal evidence out there that people generally are kind of itching to look at something new. When those people leave, if they work for a company or a CEO that was an asshole, who didn't do work from home, who didn't care about that they were now working 70 hours a week from home, it's those people who will now spot off on Glassdoor because they're going to say, here's what it was really like there for the last year. I also believe, though, a lot of companies, brands, CEO brands, scores on Glassdoor will be made because of this. Because their staff will start saying how awesome this company was to work with, how accommodating they were because I was homeschooling my kids.
Nobody's going to talk about that.
I don't necessarily agree with you, Paul. I think Glassdoor has legalized extortion.
Yes.
And because at companies that I had been at, they had asked, oh, hey, Glassdoor, hey, yeah, you know what? Why don't you guys get this? We'll send a. By the way, we already have a web page for you guys. And you really can't do anything with it. Why don't you buy an account, send out this thing, and all your internal employees will get to post on it. And in companies of 30, 40, 50,000, the response rate was horrible and it was more bitching than praise. And I tell people, and I would even challenge you, that I would say Glassdoor is only good in a legitimate review for that small office function, organization, location, because
we are agreeing though, because remember now, I'm mostly recruiting for startups in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or the Midwest. So we are talking about companies of less than 300 people. In a community that is very community oriented. So they will say, hey, this was a fantastic experience, or I'm still here, or here's, I'm moving on to another opportunity, but the CEO was awesome. This is that part where we actually agree. It's just that my scale of who I'm working with is smaller than what you're doing.
Well, that's okay.
I think the danger in even mentioning Glassdoor is it's giving it any kind of credence. The fact is that all of the information that I would try and fix on Glassdoor, it was like salaries. And as the head of recruiting for this one company, or I was helping with this other sister company, the first thing I would do is go in and see what they Glassdoor are saying about our salaries and our on target earnings, and it was always completely way off.
Yep.
And what I got to do a few times, just out of frustration, was I would put that information, I would link directly to the worst information ever that was listed on Glassdoor, and I'd say, hey, this is what people are saying about about this position here, and this is why it's wrong. The base is off. It's actually this. On target average is wrong. This is actually what it is. They said these things in the reviews, completely wrong. If you even think that this is accurate, just don't even apply. Okay. But if you take a moment to think about who's posting and why, let's have a conversation. I'll even introduce you to these teams. And I would leave it at that. But all the information is there, as Alan had mentioned. It's all there to try and get organizations to spend $10,000-$15,000 so you can access your own information on Glassdoor. The interesting thing is, Indeed has like 10 times more reviews about companies than Glassdoor does. Yet we're still talking about Glassdoor, which actually happens to be owned by Indeed. And so,
Okay, well, maybe it's unique.
depends
I've
on-
never heard anybody here really say that Glassdoor is an influence in their hiring, but maybe it is, Paul, where you live and work.
You know,
it is
we
an influence for some types of positions. I always felt that it would influence people at the lower echelons of the organization. Middle and higher were just like, dude, that's just people
Paul?
pissed off about things.
For us, again, it's like I live in a really large, small town, right? It's not 6 degrees of separation. It's 2.2 and 1.5 if you know the right person.
Yep.
And so
That's-
for us,
yeah.
it's different, right? So when you're talking about our startup community, people really do honestly say, like, you could see trends, right, on Glassdoor of things going up, going down, and then you go, oh, hey, they have been having issues in their product group. They are hemorrhaging people because that person is an a-hole, and
Yeah.
now they can't retain anybody.
And there's another aspect to this industry to industry that Glassdoor becomes completely irrelevant, and other ones do as well. And I mean, right now I've been in commercial construction for 4.5 years. I have never seen an industry that is so 6 degree of separation networked up. I mean, it is insane how small this world is. When I was in tech, you'd run across, if I got Animal, Paul, Ernie, Michael, and I'm recruiting for one company, maybe you guys have heard of the company, but you don't know too much. Here,
Oh, yeah.
interviewed a digital marketing person, and they connected with one of our internal people through a referral. They asked 2 of our subcontractors about us, and they even knew a different company that knew about us. So even before the first in-person interview happened, this candidate knew what was thought about us.
Yep.
And that's what's even more key. And I could see in your smaller area, it's not 6 degrees. And while Glassdoor, we can get off that topic, I could see it's more, I pick up the call and go, hey, Paul, Michael G. Cox called me from company X for this job. Hey, you know anything about it? It's like, yeah, Michael's really cool and his team's really good, but the dev team just absolutely blows.
Yep.
Okay, I want to do an ad.
Why don't you do a commercial?
Okay. Hone it, everybody. HONEIT.com. Nick Livingston is the CEO. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago, if I remember correctly. Here's what you do. You go to the Hone It website. You call into it. Your candidate calls in. You interview her. And it's completely recorded. It comes in audio, video if you want. Everything is transcribed into a searchable, written or typed up document. Everything is encrypted. You could pass it around to everybody on the hiring committee or the hiring manager. And here's the interesting thing. When you get to the key questions, you press a button, person answers the question, You press another button, creates a little clip. So the hiring manager, anybody else concerned, gets the key information just like that. Hone it, HONEIT.com. Okay, Paul, I had a question. My mind now is a real sieve. I had something I wanted to ask you, and I started the commercial, and I forgot. Anybody else want to ask him something? Let me see. Anybody else?
Hey, Paul. So, with regard to like candidate outreach, we'll talk on that side a bit, because that would maybe be of interest to people that are not independent. What do you see that's working right now to get people from wherever they're at onto the phone with you or into a conversation?
Let me again preface, right? Minneapolis, St. Paul, Upper Midwest, tech companies, startups, or Fortune 500 groups starting a new tech team. Because how I do this here and how I do it in the Bay Area is actually a little bit different. So for here, it's very much about telling the story that, because here you know who you know where they're working at, you know what's going on there, and you know what's going on with my company that I'm representing, and I can contrast and compare really easily. The second thing is that here,
Well, hold on. I didn't understand what you said. Tell a story, and you don't tell us the story. What does tell a story mean? I don't know. What does build relationships mean? I don't know. Okay.
You've never built relationships?
I don't build relationships. No. Okay. So I'm a generalist. You work on a different kind of thing all the time.
Whatever.
You're not going back to the same people.
For every human that's ever
He's
gonna
asking
watch,
you on behalf of those that maybe have not.
for all of the humans that will watch this to create relationships other than recruiting animal. That's a great background there, Michael.
Okay, but no, I didn't ask about that this time. Ernie talked about it. He always talks about the relationships. Yeah, there I go.
So the
what I
idea is
asked
this.
was,
I
tell
get
the
what you're
story. Tell the story. What story? Do you post a story on LinkedIn? I want to tell you a story about my client, okay?
So you're thinking story is an elaborate long piece. I'm talking about a story as a paragraph. That the company has gone from 75 to 150 in the last 12 months during COVID. We expect to hire another 100 in product, data, and digital over this year. Our retention rate is X. These are the things that we're working on. You guys are hilarious. It's the idea here is that I don't have another 100 developers and another 100 developers, another 100 developers to recruit. It's not the Bay Area, right? So if I start at the top of the funnel and I've got 13,000 Java developers, by the time I whittle down area code and degree and skill set and do they have the proper stuff, I might be down to 350 people, right? And so if I'm down to 350 people and they move every 3 months, I've got 100 a year, I've got 10 a month. My messages have to be on point. They have to be relationship building, because otherwise I sound like the other 52 recruiters contacting me.
Okay, now, you know what? I'm glad you don't have any kids, because if you told them a story like that, they'd fire you, okay?
It doesn't matter.
Tell me a story.
They'd go to sleep.
Dad, I'm going to bed. Tell me a story. Okay, we're going to hire this.
That actually, by the way,
that's not a story. That's not a story.
So the first part, the first part is, the second part is the part about building relationships that I'm trying to teach you up there in Canada, where you don't do these things apparently.
Well, Michael G. Cox is in Texas, and he asked the question. Okay.
Hey, Paul, let me ask you a question. Are you an exclusive recruiter for one company, or do you recruit for a number of companies?
So usually, the old model was pre-2012. I was a contingent search firm recruiter.
Okay.
Okay. In 2012, I realized there were a lot of startups, small tech companies in our town who didn't have a recruiter, or if they did, they were an HR generalist doing some recruiting, or a CEO of a 10-person startup, and he'd already tapped friends and family. So I now tend to work with 2 or 3 groups at a time as their internal recruiter. So I have access to the applicant tracking system. I'm in on recruiter stand-ups. I'm in on all of the stuff.
So he's so basically
on a contract basis for like 6 months or a year or whatever.
Usually 3 months to 6 months. Let's wipe out COVID and whatever's going to happen to the next version of this, because it's gonna still be in flux this year.
Well, because he's really done. I mean, to an extent, it sounds like what you do, Paul, is an expanded twist on Batman.
Yeah.
Which is great, because one of the biggest issues of bringing in sourcers consulting sorcerers is when you don't, or whoever is, you don't give access to that stuff.
Hold on, everybody. He means Batman Cohen, okay? Not Batman, the real
Mike.
Batman.
Oh,
Okay.
never
Mike, the Batman. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Um,
Let me
so-
ask a question. I remembered my question. Listen, let me ask.
Oh,
Hold
God.
on.
Everybody freeze.
It's Jerry's.
No.
It's a short one. You know,
No.
Jerry's not here, but
ask the question.
he's the guy who asks it. Okay. Jerry says if a candidate wants to reschedule the interview, forget about it. That is over. That is a sign the person's not really interested. They're making a mistake. They might never
disagree.
show up again. Well, how do you take that, Paul? Is that
I
true
disagree
when you?
because look, we are holding people to standards we can't ourselves be held to. Like, there's no way. Like, I have to occasionally, infrequently, reschedule a phone call with a candidate because I'm giving an offer instead. An offer trumps everything. So
Well, yesterday my hangover trumped a few calls.
So
It
here's
was
the thing.
bad.
Like, here's an extension of this. I had a hiring manager a few weeks ago say to me that they really didn't like this candidate, didn't seem enthused on the video interview, and they were distracted and all of these things. They are. They've got a newborn. They've got a dog that just got neutered, and they live on a road with construction. I'm sure they were distracted. But then I asked the hiring manager, and how did you do? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, how would we rate your performance? And they're like, I don't know if I was my best. Okay, so you're trying to like label a candidate as disinterested, but you yourself.
Man,
weren't
I
good.
would tell you to buzz off if you did that to me. You turn
No!
the tables.
No. Well, that's why you're not a hiring manager.
I am internal, trying to help them build their team.
Look in the mirror, Singer. No, that's not for me. Okay.
Paul, I'm curious because on other conversations I've heard that phone interview, video interview, in-person interview. The video interview is actually the most stressful.
Yeah.
So for me, I actually don't. It's interesting because right now it's a slight competitive edge. I still do phone interviews.
Yep.
Mine. I mean, they're like, oh, hey, do you want to do this on a Zoom? I said, sure, I'll do it on a Zoom if you want to, or if you're zoomed out, we can just do it on the phone. And most of the time, oh yeah, I'm zoomed out. Can we talk while I'm driving? Sure, no problem. And it's a differentiator, but the video is the highest stressor. So if the goal is to make the conversation as productive as possible, I'm going to choose a different one.
If I can have it,
This isn't stressful. I don't. Why is a video
No,
stressful?
This
You're not
is
interviewing me.
interview.
I'm stressed.
but here's what happens. This is an example of it, though. If I can have it be my way, my phone screen is my first conversation with you, Alan, is going to be hopefully by phone. I want
Right.
the first conversation between you and the hiring manager to be by phone for what you're saying.
Yeah.
You get to now that you're going to do a 3-person panel, software developers, product designers. This is okay, but then you have to prep people, I believe. I need
Absolutely.
to prep the candidate that you're going to have these 3 people. This is who they are. This is what they're into. You need to prep those 3 people to say, hey, heads up. If you hear a baby crying in the background, move on and don't hold it against this person because they've got a newborn just like you had 5 years ago. And if we say to folks, here's the thing. I believe, and I've believed this for a long time, that we put too much into these 60-minute, 30-minute sessions. You can't cram everything in. I just don't believe that. Wow, you've got a dead cat behind your head. But the idea is that, like, can't we just have a conversation? Can't we just get to know each other? Like, we're trying to go from blind date to sleeping together in 90 minutes.
Right.
And that's called a one-night stand, right?
Yeah.
Like, but we're trying to like make employment decisions. We're trying to hire a manager of software development in 6 hours worth of like, let's mellow this stuff out a little bit.
Well, also and I agree with you. One of the things that I find more interesting for me, because I'm not a field construction person, but what I want to know is I want to find out their characteristics, their attributes. I want to know who they are.
You guys are boring the hell out of me now.
Then-
Don't make me mute you, okay? I don't know what you're talking about. I let it go on for 10 minutes because I always figure everybody knows better than me, but
We
they
do.
don't. They don't.
Well, let me ask a Paul question. I have a Paul question.
No, I got a question. I got some
No,
questions.
I got a question.
You know
I got a
what?
question.
Okay, but I
I've never
prepared
had
for
people
the
fight
show.
over me
Okay,
since the
Better
last
be a
call.
good one.
It's a great one. Paul, you talk about Minnesota versus Midwest versus San Francisco.
Yeah.
Did you move?
No, I spend 85% of my time recruiting in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, 10% in the Midwest. My version of that is like Minneapolis, Ann Arbor, Indy, St. Louis, Kansas City, Denver, because we understand snow in winter.
Uh-huh.
And then 5% of my time in the Bay Area from people who were in the Midwest, because if they want to get married, have kids, have a backyard. Now that
Okay.
changes now post-COVID, because there will be a lot of remote and work from home stuff. This is the part where I think, like for me, my practice will change or morph now, and has been over the last 16 months. And will
that,
through this year.
and that's what fascinates me about what you're saying, because you're taking your niche and you're moving it, you're going with the flow and trying to get it to adapt, which is what a lot of people are always asking, what's my niche? What's my niche?
Yeah.
And you've taken that and you've done some creative things, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah,
My
okay.
third recession
Great
kicked my
question.
ass again. Like, this wasn't fun.
Oh yeah, he said COVID kicked his ass. He wants everyone to know that. Okay.
There's a country song in there, isn't there?
Probably.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the furniture out of his house, you can tell.
Okay, Alan. I don't know if this question came from you. Someone suggested that to deal with counteroffers. I think might have been Alan. Okay, he said he prefaces when he talks in an early conversation with the candidate. He says, "Look, if we're successful in the interview process and present you an offer, what could your current supervisor do to keep you?" I like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Was that you, Al?
Yeah, probably, because the other way I ask it is, why are we talking?
Well,
Why are we talking anyway? No, it's,
question.
yeah, it kind of is, because it's like, why are we talking? And now they're going to tell me why we're talking and their reasonings, and I don't need.
So aggressive. I call up someone out of the blue and say, "Look, I'm working on this."
Whoa. How do I call them up out of the blue? 99% of my calls are warm calls.
Yep. This goes back to if you had built relationships, animals, you could have these conversations with people and they wouldn't think you were an asshole.
Okay.
But you know, but the
so
follow,
Paul,
the
how did you actually, like, now we've built a relationship and we've done all of that stuff, whatever that means. Typically my relationship is hey, we're connected.
One night
Got an
stand.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick chat. Yeah. And so I know what I say. I'm curious, what do you say on that call? You're on, and the first maybe 5 minutes might be about the opportunity that you're going to pitch. What do you say? What do you?
No,
how
hold
are
on.
you
Let me
presenting
just
the
get in
opportunity?
there. Hold on. Don't tell me nobody has passive candidates that they've never talked to before. You get on the phone with this person and you say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about this position." She says, "Okay. What do you want to talk to me for? Why are we talking?" No,
So here's the thing.
no way.
Animal, let me
That's
lend a hand.
crazy.
Animal, you're my candidate. I found you on Stack Overflow. So whether you applied or I've proactively found you, I'm going to send you an email, and this is the template in my brain. This is not the exact language. My name is Paul DeBettignies. I'm working as an internal recruiter at XYZ Inc. I came across your profile on Stack Overflow. If you have a few minutes, I'd like to have a conversation with you. Here's the company, here's the role, and we're going to talk salary stuff at the end, and I'm going to go first. And so I don't have a cold phone call with you. You already know who I am, where I'm working, what the role is, and what the things we're going to talk about. We're going to have about a 45-minute conversation. And I also say, can we have this be a casual conversation, not an interrogation or an interview? And by the way, everyone says yes to that, because they don't want to be interviewed, interrogated on the first phone call with someone they don't know that well.
and Paul, the second part of that too is asking him, you're talking to me, we're having a great conversation, you're sharing me why you want to move. What is your motivation for moving, for thinking about? What is your most motivation for even talking to me as a recruiter for about
There
this
you
next
go with Al.
opportunity?
He's in Al's camp.
But
okay.
wait. But even more important to that, they give you an answer. If it's money, you run away. If it's, well, I haven't gotten a promotion, I think the next question you have to ask is, have you gone back and talked to your boss about that?
Mm-hmm.
Do they know what you want? Because if they don't, go do that right now and then come back to me. We'll talk later, because you could be wasting your time, because that's the key to the counteroffer.
I don't think any of us need to turn every person we talk to into a candidate, into a hire.
Yeah.
They might be a candidate a month from now, 3 months from now, and 9 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
Are we a good, can we start dating now? Or are we going to date a year from now? Or are we going to date 3 years from now?
Do they have
that
the?
might be why I'm 50 and I haven't been married.
Paul, is your goal to get out of it? Like someone saying, wow, you're different than every other recruiter that called me?
It's not.
We are.
It's not the goal, but I think we are.
because we're genuine.
I really do think, like, about 2 years ago when I was thinking about, like, how do I stay relevant as a tech recruiter in my town for 15 more years? Because I thought about, like, how many gray-haired recruiters are there in my town? How many of them are taken seriously? And the answer is not many and even fewer. And the idea for me, for my goal is that I want to be the person who's giving content to the technologists, the product, digital data, design, security folks. I want it so that when they decide to make a new job shift or they're looking for a new role, that I'm one of the 3 phone calls they make.
Hold on a second. Wait a sec. I'm not going to let you just pass this stuff over. I'm weak today, everybody.
We
sorry.
know.
I've been a weak host today because, I'm generous and I figure I'm humble. I think everybody knows better than me, okay? But I know better. Just like he said, you've been doing this for a while, Animal. Okay, so you just said you want to talk to all these people and feed them information, but you didn't tell us what kind of information.
Well, because okay. So I am going to,
You see where I am, everybody? Oh, information. That's meaningless to me.
So here's the deal.
What kind of information?
So back to your relationship. This ties to the information. Here's what I'm doing. I'm sending an email to you with the latest DICE salary survey. Computer World just announced their salary survey and like what people were looking for about 6 weeks ago. The next mini bar digital event is going to be April 27th.
Okay. And so there's a mailing list that you nurture, like.
All of my email, about 90% of my email are there might be like some templates to it, but it's all customized. Hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. Hey, I saw you on Twitter. You may remember we met at the JavaScript meetup in July of 2019.
Yeah.
Because again, though,
in your neck of the woods, though, are you not already connected to all these folks on LinkedIn anyway?
He just said a while ago. He said, "Yeah, he knows everybody."
No.
But so my okay. You said no. Why not? Why over the past 10 years have you not been networking, connecting with all these folks?
He's getting tough. He wants to wrestle with you, Paul. Come on.
No, it's okay. Because if there's, I don't know, there's 90,000 technologists just in the Twin Cities. So that's 3,000 a year. That's 100.
Didn't he tell us 20 minutes ago that it's a small place and everybody knows each other?
Relative to Los Angeles, it's tiny. And what you need to do is when you're building the relationships and getting to know people is you need to have your hubs and your spokes. Your hubs are the people that know everybody and your spokes are those people they know. So speak up, Alan. Okay, I'm going to speak up because now Kendra's telling me to speak up and Animal is...
Kendra, he's driving me crazy. Hi, Kendra.
Alan, we can hear you fine.
So
loud.
Looking good today, Kendra.
She's being sarcastic. I know now. She's being sarcastic. You
can't okay.
I think she's feeding him questions or answers. She's feeding Alan answers.
So when I approach somebody, one of my first best interview questions, and it's not, is, so before we start, let me turn this around. Ask me anything you want about the job, about the company, anything.
What do you want to know?
Because you want to know what that's going to do? That puts us into a rapport. It relaxes them. It's respectful. And the other thing is they tell me within the first 5 minutes what's probably most important to them based on the questions they're asking. The projects we do, our benefits, whatever, opportunity for growth, job security, what have you.
Okay.
So
let me comment on that for a second. Okay. This is one of the things that I've been sort of turned around on. Lou Adler used to say, look, if they're going to ask you right away, what's the money?
The godfather of recruiting?
What's the money? And he would say, deflect that question. Tell them it's a career issue, not a money issue. But it's come up over and over again that there's no point in talking if the money is off base. Don't waste people's time. And so what Alan's saying, if they ask money the first time, you got to tell them right up front and tell them the full range. Right? If it's going up to 200, tell them 200, and then they're gonna fight with you about that. Paul, what did you?
That's why I said that in that email I sent to you. Like, we're gonna talk about these 5 things. Salaries on that list, and I'm gonna go first. Like, let's just get this out of the way, and then I don't come back for a couple of conversations to salary because I'll wait till they've had the phone screen with the hiring manager. They've now had this thing with the design team. They'll be like, hey, now is this still the role you're looking for? Is this salary range still what you're looking for? It makes it so that by the time you get to an offer stage, super easy.
Okay. Do you and Alan give the top end if there's a range? Because lots of people don't. They
Yeah.
know they're going to be in trouble if they reveal the top end because they don't trust the candidate to be reasonable.
See, here's the
take
thing.
less.
Again, in my tech community, in the startup space, everybody knows that's okay. Most people will
All
know.
90. He knows what all 90,000 of them know. Go ahead.
No, but there's not 90,000 in the startup community, right? If you attend, there's an event called Mini Bar that's held at Best Buy corporate headquarters every spring, and 1,300 people attend. They're kind of the coolest, the geekiest, smartest, nerdiest of the kids, right?
Are you there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I speak every year. I do a thing on career IT maintenance and in brackets, why do recruiters suck so bad? And I put 250 people in a theater every year. Well, except for because of COVID, we didn't do it last year. But the idea is this. They are talking about their salaries that day. They are saying, hey, I'm going to be interviewing at XYZ. Do you know what the salary? They're telling each other anyway. They already know. Most of them will already have an idea of what the salary range is anyway. So let's just knock it out of the way.
I don't.
Now,
You guys
this might
have
be
easy answers to all the questions.
No,
Okay.
but by the way, this could be different though if I'm recruiting for Best Buy, Target, Ameriprise, 3M, right? Because now it's what division, what location, years of experience can vary greatly.
Let me follow up with this salary thing because I just can't get my head around it. And Alan can answer as anybody wants. So, aren't you betraying your hiring manager if you
What?
go ahead and spill the beans? They
Yeah.
might not. They might not
Animal.
want to do that.
Animal, what you do is you ask him when you're talking to the hiring manager, this is a range, I know that, but that's bull. What's your budget or what's your target? They give you the target. After they give you the target, you're talking to people. They tell you, I want 120. Well, my target's 80. After that, you say, this is way below you, and I don't think you can pay your bills at 80.
That's not a good example, Alan.
That is a great example, but I'm going to tell you this. Then you take it, you want 120. Let's keep getting information from you because I know you're looking to move, and I have other positions that may come up that may be of interest to you.
I'm going to come to Alan in a second. Just let me address that, okay? You shifted the conversation. We're talking about a range between 80 and 100, and so this person's only worth 90. This person's only worth 90, but if you've told her in advance that you're willing to go to 100, when they offer her 90, she's going to get insulted. And that's a huge issue.
You ask them what's their salary expectations.
This is
right
a two-way conversation. I'm telling them, they're telling me. That's that relationship thing you haven't figured out in Canada yet. The other part is this, is that the idea is that I'm asking the hiring managers before I ever talk salaries, is it okay if I talk salaries? I have had every hiring manager said, I'm cool if you talk about it. Because the idea is that we want to make sure that I know that they've got 7 developers on the team.
If the hiring manager says no, you're going to say, I'm not going to talk about it, even though it's the first thing they're going to ask me?
No, we're going to have a follow-up 20-minute conversation about this, about why I think it's important, why I think it helps us in the end to be able to help better grow your team.
You know what, everybody? Alan's coming to you. I just want to tell the audience, if anybody has listened this far, you can see how these people are so slippery. I cannot pin them down, okay? Alan, go over. It's you. Go on.
Ask me the question again, Animal.
Okay, look, the range is 80 to 100. The first thing happens, okay, so the first thing that you get on the phone, I like your question. Hey, ask me anything. I wouldn't ask that because I don't know anything, okay? You work in the same company all the time. So ask me anything. Okay, Alan, what's it paying? Okay, you know it's 80 to 100. Are you going to tell them 100? Because if she gets offered 90 in the end and she knows that there's 100,000, she's leaving money on the table, she's going to get pissed off.
So the answer is, in California and New York, and some are different because I have to tell them the range. So I'll say, look, Animal, the range is 80 to 100. Do I know where you land? No, I don't. Let's start talking. Let's figure this out. You might be at 80. You might be at 100. You might be worth more. I don't know. Let's have a conversation. This is dating.
Okay, so you can blame it. You don't have any personal responsibility there because the law determines it.
No, but it's the same answer, whether it's the law or not. But I would tell them, I'd say, look, it's probably somewhere between 80 and 100.
Does the hiring manager, is that okay with the hiring manager if you blow the negotiation in advance?
Animal, if the hiring manager doesn't want to talk to me about the job, I'm not going to work it. Neither is my team.
They're not talking to you.
No, I'm serious.
They don't want the candidate to know the top end. It's that simple.
Here's the question. If a hiring manager says, I do not want you to speak about salary, here's my question. You ready? Why not?
Yeah.
And then shut the hell up. and let them do their thing. And then you say, really? Because my experience is, if you're not wanting to talk salary, then you're hiding something. Either side.
Or you're a narcissistic egomaniac and a control freak.
Love that.
And the other one is Paul's question, why not, and shut up. And then you say, okay. And if you're forced to, it's like, okay, fine. Here you go. Here's a candidate. Oh, I talked to him. I really like him. Did you find out about money? No. True story. Well, no. Oh, we want to make him an offer. Okay. Well, make him 150 offer. Really? He's at 225. Well, why did you waste my time? I didn't waste your time. You didn't want me to talk about salary. So this is on you, not me. So here's the deal. We will never.
I think that happens
less and less, minusculely.
I think it happens to every hiring manager. Eventually, they figure out that there are people that are at a level that you simply cannot afford in your current organization. Position.
Well, the other problem is that I've run into in past companies is that the person has been there so long, the hiring manager has salary compression, and everybody coming in that reports to them is going to be making more than them on the open market. So it's either, well, God, they make more than me. That's where the market is, Steve. What? I mean, it's what they're telling me. Well, I want to find somebody that makes this. Okay, and then do you want to deal with the technical screw-ups they're going to do if they're dealing with software? Do you want to take the risk of them blowing a gasket and causing an HR problem? Or you guys have a lawsuit for X, Y, or Z, but you got them for 80.
So how common is that? How common is that? I was wondering just this morning when I was putting the show together, how common is it that there's cheap companies that want to, value the candidates?
Lots of them.
Hold on.
Let Paul answer first.
Some of them are undervaluing with intent. Some of them are undervaluing because, again, in my part of the world, right, their revenue numbers aren't there yet. They don't have it. So they'll say to folks, look, you're going to work with some awesome people on great tech, and people are going to use your product. For the next 18 months, though, our salaries, because of where we are going to be a little low. People, if you're honest about it, people will go, hey, let's learn more. Some will walk.
Yes.
And I suck at poker, okay? Because you'll know what cards I have as soon as I look at, right? But I'm the same way with recruiting. I'm in the same way part of every other part of my life. You're going to know. So I just tell you, let's stop the BS in the games that we did 20 years ago in recruiting. And let's just actually, be human and have interactions and build relationships.
Okay. So that's the answer.
There's an entirely new generation of recruiters that are still doing the old games.
Yeah.
They are.
See, but you're going to have to tell the hiring manager then, hey, look,
cyber coders,
I don't play your game. I'm transparent. Like Paul plays into his weakness. Oh, yeah. You know what? You can see right through me, and that's my virtue. Okay. I don't play poker well, but you know what? People trust me because I'm a sucker.
But that goes all to deciding whether you want to stay with that client or not.
Yeah. When I used to work in consumer packaged goods at factory level, look, the pay is the pay. Basically, the ranges were pretty tight, and they were non-union.
Yeah.
So those were my first comments. I said, look, here's the deal, here's the thing, here's that. You've got a little bit of experience. There is good growth, and I would say there's good growth because there's just high turnover in the industry in that job. So could you be a manager in a year and a half? Sure.
Okay. Next week, or if I remember, I want to come back to that issue when the hiring manager has salary compression. I love that term. I like it now. Okay. Paul, the show's over, but there was a question that someone asked on Twitter that I was going to put to you. She's a founder. She's new. She says it's easier for her to raise money than it is to bring in, great people. And I was going to ask you how to do that. If you can answer in 1 minute, I'll take an answer. Otherwise, maybe you'll have to come in another time, not wait 10 years or 5 or 6, whatever it's been.
By the way, before we get cut off, it is good to hear and now see you, but to hear it brings back fond memories. It is easier right now in most capital markets to raise money than it is to build a team. Go ahead, Alan, just go.
And that's because there's so much money on the sidelines, but you can't print people.
Yeah. And so if you raise, again, I'm talking about Midwest dollars, not Bay Area dollars, right? if you raise 5 million in the Twin Cities, you can build, you've got the funds to be able to build a good, solid beginning of a team. But now, if you're not known, and like, it's hard, because in this town, again, it's an employer, employer branding matters here. And I still believe employer
And
branding.
if you're new, you've got no brand, right?
And so you need to, like, your first couple of hires, I would hope, are known people in the town that can bring with them some notoriety, some, I want to work with that person too, that this is a serious product, a serious CEO, a serious company. Maybe they need to bring in a really good recruiter at an early stage. There's a woman here in town named Victoria Shannon. She works at every cool early startup.
What about yourself? Don't promote somebody else.
Well, because they should work with me. I'm not going to be shy about it, but they should hire her as the VP of HR or VP of HR, and then hire me for the next 6 months.
Okay.
Is what they should do.
Okay, get a recruiter that everybody trusts. The show's over. I want to go through the cast, okay? I said last week that I was going to get foodrecruiter.com for Ernie. I will get it. Don't go there and buy it before I do, okay? I'll have to come up with something else, okay? He's the recruiter. If you need a production manager, a supervisor, or executive in the food industry, you go to Ernie. Recruiteral.com. You can tell he's a genius, a little bombastic, but he's the man. And the salesrecruiter.com. I inspired that, okay, indirectly,
yes,
getting a decent URL, the salesrecruiter.com, but he was smart enough to get a good one, everybody. So you know you want to work with Michael G. Cox. And the Minnesota Headhunter. Everybody should love him already. Oh, he's had the same haircut for 20 years, okay?
There's some gray in here now.
What's your website? mnheadhunter.com. And same on Twitter.
Food Recruiter, by the way, is taken. You're gonna have to go with the Food Recruiter.
Okay, I'll get him something. I'll get him something. Hey, everybody.
Good to see you guys.
Goodbye. Thank you.